Gemini, this event happens in 2 weeks and will change your life. Have you been sensing it? That subtle restlessness beneath the surface. A feeling you can't quite explain, as though something is approaching. Something that will reshape the landscape of your life, but you don't yet know what form it will take. If that energy has been surrounding you lately, you're not imagining things. You're simply more attuned than most. You're intuitive astrologer and soul guide here at Esoteric Wisdom. And if you're new to this sacred space, know this. You didn't find this channel by accident. You were led here because the universe is already preparing you for a shift that's as cosmic as it is personal. In just 2 weeks, a powerful event is set to unfold in your life. Not a vague possibility, not wishful thinking, but something real orchestrated behind the scenes by divine timing. You may have already felt its vibration in your dreams, your conversations, or your body's sudden resistance to things that once felt comfortable. In this reading, I'll walk with you through the deeper meaning behind this upcoming moment, what it asks of you, and how you can meet it with grace, clarity, and trust. If these words resonate even slightly with what you've been quietly feeling, I invite you to like, share, or subscribe to the space of soul-aligned wisdom, because something is already shifting, and it's time to prepare. Gate 1, the invisible countdown. When your intuition knows before your mind understands. Gemini, you've always been gifted with a mind that moves fast, sharp, curious, open to new ideas. But beneath all that mental agility is a much quieter, deeper current, your intuition. And while the world often praises your intellect, it's your intuitive nature that is quietly working the background, tuning into signals before anyone else notices the shift. Over the past few days, or maybe even weeks, you've likely felt a subtle restlessness, a kind of psychic pressure building beneath the surface of your routines. You may have found yourself waking up earlier than usual, feeling both excited and uneasy at the same time. Your thoughts might be racing, but with no specific direction. Your body might feel like it's preparing for something, but your conscious mind hasn't yet caught up. This is not anxiety. This is alignment in motion. Something is approaching, and even though it hasn't yet revealed itself in the physical realm, your soul already knows. It's sensing the wave before it crests, the shift in cosmic, whether before the clouds visibly move. Your dreams may become more vivid, your emotions more volatile. Conversations around you might seem unusually symbolic, as if the universe is using other people to echo what your spirit already suspects. This is the power of Gemini in motion, not just as a thinker, but as a receiver, as someone who can pick up on energetic threads and interpret them before they become facts. Let's be clear, this isn't a vague forecast of something might happen. This is a message rooted in astrological alignment and soul timing. In your current chart, the planetary transits are activating not just your external environment, but your internal readiness. You are not just waiting for an event to happen to you. You are unconsciously preparing to meet it. There's a specific term in spiritual psychology, resonant anticipation. It describes the experience of feeling an event coming before you consciously understand it. That's where you are now. Your body knows before your schedule does. Your dreams know before your plans do. One of my Gemini clients, whom I'll call Naya, described it perfectly. She came to me 2 years ago with what she called a strange restlessness I can't explain. She said, "Everything in my life is fine on the surface, but I feel like something underneath is getting louder, like a wave building that I can't see, but I can feel it." 14 days later, her company unexpectedly offered her a transfer abroad, a dream she'd secretly nurtured for years but hadn't acted on. The offer was so sudden, so perfectly timed. It felt surreal, but Naya wasn't shocked. She told me, "I didn't know what was coming, but I knew something was. I think I was already saying yes before I knew what I was agreeing to." Gemini, this is exactly the kind of energy I see gathering around you now. And the reason it's important to recognize this intuitive readiness is because it shifts your entire posture. Instead of clinging to predictability, you start relaxing into possibility. Instead of reacting with fear, you begin responding with curiosity. And that changes everything. When you know something is on the horizon, you begin preparing not just practically, but spiritually. You start noticing the areas of your life where you've been playing small. You begin identifying relationships or habits that no longer resonate with your becoming. You start saying no more clearly. You start saying yes more intentionally. This is not about sudden action. It's about inner alignment. In fact, one of the most powerful things you can do in these next 2 weeks is listen. Listen to what your body is telling you when you walk into certain rooms. Listen to what your energy does after you talk to specific people. Listen to the way your emotions rise and fall during certain parts of your day. These are not random. They are soul signals. And they are leading you toward the transformation that is already being written into your energetic blueprint. You may also notice a kind of emotional detox happening in small, quiet ways. You might feel unusually tender, quick to tears, or easily irritated for no reason. This is your inner world making space. Before something arrives, the soul must clear. So if old memories are resurfacing, or you suddenly feel compelled to let go of certain objects, clothes, or routines, honor that impulse. It is preparation disguised as disruption. And most importantly, don't gaslight your own knowing. It's tempting, especially for someone as intellectually gifted as you, to override your intuition with logic, to say, I'm just being dramatic, or I'm reading too much into this. But what if you're not? What if what you're feeling is exactly right? You're not here to prove your intuition. You're here to trust it. And right now, that quiet sense of something's coming is not your imagination. It is your soul whispering. Get ready. You're about to meet a version of yourself you've never met before. This version of you is not afraid of change. This version of you does not need every step mapped out in advance. This version of you knows that life rearranges itself beautifully when you stop resisting what your heart already knows is meant for you. So let yourself be a little restless. Let yourself feel the approaching wave. Let yourself not know exactly what it is, but still say yes. Because here's the truth. Most people miss the most important turning points of their lives not because they weren't strong enough, but because they weren't present enough to recognize them. But you, Gemini, are already sensing the shift. You're already halfway there. The next gate will explore how to prepare for this change, not just emotionally, but practically. We'll talk about what this transformation might look like in real life, how you'll recognize it, and what it's asking you to release so you can receive it fully. But for now, take this moment to anchor yourself. Close your eyes, place your hands on your heart, and whisper gently to your future self. I'm ready, I'm listening, I'm open. Gate 2, the energetic shift. How to prepare for a future that has already chosen you. Gemini, now that you've acknowledged the presence of something approaching, something inevitable, sacred, and aligned, it's time to go deeper. Because what's coming for you in 2 weeks is not just an event, it's an initiation. And initiations don't begin when the outer world changes. They begin long before, when your energy starts shifting without obvious cause. When the old ways of being quietly begin to dissolve. Not because anything has gone wrong, but because your soul knows something is about to go very right. If Gate 1 helped you tune into that silent countdown within you, then Gate 2 is where we begin preparing. Not by doing more, but by clearing more. Because in truth, the future that is coming for you has already selected you. The question is, will you be able to receive it when it arrives? And to receive it, Gemini, you must make space. Let's be honest, your world has likely grown too full. Your calendar, your inbox, your mind. Your heart might still be tangled in relationships, habits, or roles that no longer reflect who you're becoming. This is normal. We all accumulate emotions, expectations, identities. But right now, you are not being asked to accumulate more. You're being asked to release. You may already feel this happening. Perhaps you lost interest in things you once loved. Perhaps certain friendships feel strangely hollow, even if nothing bad has happened. Perhaps your morning routine suddenly feels forced, or your favorite distractions no longer satisfy. This isn't burnout. This is soul-level realignment. It's what happens when the vibration of your future is no longer compatible with the habits of your past. Think of it this way. If your future were a frequency, your soul is already tuning into it. But everything in your life that isn't vibrating on that same level, relationships based on guilt, jobs based on fear, routines based on survival will start to feel off. Not because something is failing, but because something new is forming. And here's the sacred truth I want you to remember. The universe never upgrades your life without first upgrading your awareness. You're not just waiting for an opportunity. You're being invited into alignment. And alignment doesn't begin with decisions. It begins with energy. Let me share the story of Damien, a Gemini artist I once worked with. For months, he felt like something was off, though he couldn't explain why. He had just completed a major creative project, had stable income, support of friends, but still, a fog lingered. "I feel like I'm drifting," he told me. "Like I'm in a waiting room, but I don't know what for." Instead of rushing to fix it, I asked him to make space. Just a little. 10 minutes of silent meditation each morning. An afternoon without scrolling. One drawer decluttered each week. He resisted at first. "That's too small to matter," he said. But within 3 weeks, something shifted. He felt drawn to return to an old writing idea he'd abandoned. He reached out to a mentor he hadn't spoken to in years. By the end of the month, he was offered a residency in a European art retreat. Something he hadn't even applied for, but had been nominated by someone who stumbled upon his early work. He told me, "That space I created, it didn't just change my life. It found my life." Gemini, this is the kind of preparation you're being called into now. Not frantic action, but intentional clearing. You don't need to know exactly what's coming to prepare for it. You only need to listen to what your body, your emotions, your intuition are already asking you to release. Here are a few signs your soul is preparing for something new. You feel called to simplify, not just your space, but your digital life, your social circle, your obligations. You're increasingly intolerant of superficial conversations or draining interactions. You begin craving silence, solitude, or nature more than usual. You feel unusually emotional, either sensitive or strangely detached from things that used to matter. You notice themes repeating, dreams, songs, numbers, messages from strangers. These are not random. They are signs that your future is knocking, not with a demand, but with a question. Will you let go so I can come in? So how do you prepare practically and spiritually? Start with conscious release, not just decluttering your closet, but clearing what no longer fits your spirit. Say goodbye to routines that numb you. Unsubscribe from energy that drains you. Reflect on what you've been tolerating, not out of love, but out of habit. Then practice stillness. Give yourself windows of quiet. Gemini minds are always in motion, but stillness isn't the absence of thought. It's the space where clarity reveals itself. Even 5 minutes of slow breathing, of listening to music without multitasking, can be enough for insight to rise. Finally, speak honestly with yourself. Ask, what in my life feels heavy right now? What have I outgrown but haven't released? What part of me am I afraid to let the world see? Because it might change everything. These questions are not comfortable, but they are powerful. Because the moment you name the truth, you align with it. And from that alignment, the future flows effortlessly toward you. Gemini, your season of preparation is not passive. It is sacred. You are not waiting for life to happen. You are co-creating the energetic doorway through which it will arrive. You are not becoming someone new. You are revealing someone true. And in the next gate, we will explore what this shift will actually look like, how the external event that's coming may manifest, and what real-world areas of your life it is destined to touch. But for now, trust this. You don't need to know the outcome to begin aligning with it. All you need is the willingness to clear what you've outgrown and the courage to believe that something more beautiful is already on its way. Gate 3. When the moment arrives, recognize an event that was always meant for you. Gemini, by now, your inner world has started to prepare. You felt the shifts, small and subtle, but powerful. And maybe part of you is still asking, what exactly is coming? What is this event that will change my life? Let's be clear, this is not about something falling out of the sky. This event is not a random lightning strike. It is not punishment. It is not a test. It is a culmination of an energetic equation that has been building in your life for months, perhaps even years. It is a ripple effect of every suppressed truth, every unspoken longing, every intuitive nudge you've ignored or half followed. It is the moment when the inner transformation becomes external reality. So what might this look like? The event itself may arrive in the form of a job opportunity, a breakup, a move, an unexpected encounter, or even a conversation that changes everything. But its form is not the point. Its function is what matters. This event is here to do one thing: disrupt the identity you've outgrown. Maybe you've been holding on to a version of yourself that no longer feels real. Maybe you've been playing a role in a relationship, in a family dynamic, in a job that once served you, but now feels like a costume stitched from fear. Maybe you become the person others needed you to be. And now, life is asking you to become the person you truly are. This event will not create something new from scratch. It will expose what was always waiting beneath the surface. It will make it impossible for you to pretend anymore. And that, Gemini, is what makes it so powerful. Because until now, much of your life may have been running on a subtle form of compromise. You've kept things steady. You've kept the peace. You've adapted brilliantly to circumstances that didn't fully reflect your truth. You rationalized it. It's fine for now. This is just what adulthood looks like. Maybe I'm asking for too much. But now the universe says, enough. You're ready. Let's go. I want to show you how these kind of events often manifest for Gemini energy. Take Lila, for instance, a Gemini woman who came to me just days before her own transformational event. She had a secure job, a long-term relationship, a stable life. But she confessed to me, Elizabeth, I wake up every morning with a knot in my stomach. I feel like I'm in my life, but not of it. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I told her something she didn't expect. You're not doing anything wrong. You're just not doing what's true. Less than 2 weeks later, her partner, without warning, told her he'd accepted a job offer across the country and wanted to move alone. The breakup shattered her sense of stability. But within days of the rupture, Lila began to write again, a passion she hadn't touched in 7 years. She applied for a creative grant on a whim, and within months, she was not only writing full-time, but living in a space she never imagined she could afford, because she was no longer living according to someone else's map. The point is this: sometimes the event comes like a blessing. Other times, it arrives as a breaking. But in both cases, it's actually a revealing of what your soul has been longing for, a revealing of how far you've come without realizing it, a revealing of what you're no longer willing to tolerate. So, Gemini, how will you know this event when it arrives? Here are the signs. It feels both terrifying and freeing at the same time. A part of you wants to run. Another part sighs with relief. That's how you know it's real. It interrupts your plan. This isn't something you could have scheduled or predicted. It's bigger than your strategy. It demands an emotional response. You won't be able to stay numb. You'll feel deeply, maybe joy, maybe grief, but you'll feel again. It activates clarity. You may not have all the answers, but you suddenly know something you couldn't admit to yourself before. It shifts your relationships. Some people pull away, others come closer, but all of them are being energetically sorted. This is a universe working through timing, not human convenience, but divine alignment. Because there are moments in life when we don't get to choose the timing, but we do get to choose the posture we meet it with. Will you resist or respond? Will you collapse into fear or rise with trust? And this, Gemini, is where your magic is most needed. You were born to dance with uncertainty. While others fear what they cannot control, you adapt, you think, you move, you evolve. But what this event asks of you is not more movement. It asks for depth, a deeper commitment to what feels true, a deeper willingness to let go of what no longer reflects your becoming. And that requires something most people avoid: surrender. You don't have to fix what's about to change. You don't have to fight it. You don't have to pre-plan every outcome. You only have to meet it fully, honestly, with your whole self present. You may find yourself speaking truths you never planned to share. You may end relationships you thought would last forever, or begin ones you never imagined. You may receive an invitation, a message, a sign that opens a door you didn't even know was locked. Whatever it is, it will not leave you the same. And that is the point. Because Gemini, this isn't just about an event. This is about the evolution of your identity. This is the moment when the version of you that has been silently waiting in the wings finally takes center stage. The next gate will guide you through what to do after the event, how to process the emotional aftermath, how to reclaim your power, and how to move forward, not in fear, but in alignment. But for now, breathe. What's coming is already on its way. And so is the version of you that will meet it. Gate 4, the aftermath of awakening. Holding yourself steady as the dust begins to clear. Gemini, the moment you felt approaching has happened, or is happening even now. Whether it arrived as a conversation, a disruption, a calling, or a truth you can no longer avoid, the impact is the same. Something has shifted, deeply, irrevocably. There's a strange silence after these kinds of moments. Not the peaceful kind, but the kind that leaves you suspended between past and future. You're no longer who you were, and yet you don't fully know who you are becoming. It can feel like floating, or falling, or waking up in a life that looks the same, but feels completely different. This Gemini is the sacred in-between, and it is not to be rushed. In this space, your greatest task is not to figure it all out. It's to stay present, to feel the full ripple of what has just shifted in your life without numbing, without running, without trying to package it neatly into meaning too soon. Because here's the truth. The universe doesn't only speak through events. It speaks through your reaction to those events. And the way you move through this aftermath will determine how deeply the transformation roots itself inside you. Maybe you've just ended something, a relationship, a pattern, a job, and the air around you is still thick with the echoes of what once was. Or maybe you just said yes to something new, move towards something that excites you and terrifies you at the same time. You feel the pull forward, but you're also grieving everything you had to leave behind. Both are valid. Both are sacred. Gemini, this is where your dual nature becomes your greatest gift. You don't have to choose between strength and softness, between grief and gratitude, between letting go and holding on. You were born to carry multiple truths at once. And right now, you are being asked to hold space for the full spectrum of your becoming. Let yourself cry even if you know the change was necessary. Let yourself laugh even if you're still uncertain. Let yourself feel proud and scared at the same time. You are not doing this wrong. You are doing this real. One of the biggest misconceptions people have about transformation is that it brings immediate clarity. But what it actually brings at first is space, a gap between identities. And that space can feel unbearable for someone used to motion, stimulation, connection. Someone like you, but the stillness is not emptiness. It's where truth begins to echo. And it's in that echo that you'll begin to hear your own voice again. Not the one shaped by others' expectations, but the one you silenced long ago just to belong. This is a part of the journey where people often get tempted to backtrack, to fill the void with something familiar, to cling to what they've just released, to recreate the comfort of the old, even when it no longer fits. But Gemini, you didn't come this far to recreate the past. You came to remember who you are without the masks. You came to rebuild a life that is no longer performance, but a reflection of your truth. Let me tell you about Luca, a Gemini man who experienced this exact aftermath. After months of feeling disconnected in his marriage, he finally had the conversation he'd been dreading. The truth came out. It ended with both of them in tears, holding each other one last time, not with resentment, but with reverence. He told me, "I thought I'd feel free the next day, but I felt completely empty. I had space. I had silence. I had my truth, but I didn't know what to do with any of it." I asked him not to rush into the next thing. "Let the stillness teach you," I said. So he did. In the weeks that followed, Luca began waking up earlier. He started running again. He journaled for the first time in years. He reconnected with his sister, whom he hadn't spoken to in over a decade. And slowly, the grief softened. Clarity returned. Not all at once, but in layers. And when he finally stepped into his new home, alone but alive, he said, "I'm not who I used to be." And that's the best part. Gemini, what you're walking through now is the emotional integration of your transformation. Here are some ways to hold yourself steady during this time. Name what you're feeling, even if it doesn't make sense. Language brings light. Write, speak, cry it out. Don't censor your emotions because they feel contradictory. Protect your energy. Not everyone is meant to witness your becoming. Choose carefully who you share your inner world with right now. Keep your rituals simple. Drink water with intention. Stretch in the morning. Take 5 breaths before reacting to anything. These small acts are anchors. Don't rush to rebuild. Let the new life reveal itself organically. You are not behind. You are in perfect rhythm. Validate your experience. You don't need someone else's approval to believe that what you just lived through was real, meaningful, and transformative. And most importantly, trust what you feel, even if it changes every hour, even if it makes no sense yet, even if no one else seems to understand. You are not here to be understood by everyone. You are here to be understood by yourself. In the next gate, we'll explore how this moment becomes a launch pad, not just for a new life, but for a new kind of relationship with destiny itself. One where you no longer chase signs in the universe, but become one with them, where your choices are no longer reactions, but revelations. But for now, Gemini rests in the realness. Hold space for the version of you that just made it through the storm. She may be exhausted, but she is wiser. He may be aching, but he is awake. And you, my dear Gemini, are finally free to begin again. Gate 5, living the shift. Choosing a life that reflects who you've become. Gemini, you've crossed a threshold. Not in theory, not just emotionally, but energetically. The person you were 2 weeks ago, the one who was still anticipating, questioning, holding back, has quietly, perhaps even surprisingly, evolved. Now comes the real question. Will you live in alignment with that transformation? This is the gate of embodiment. Because spiritual growth doesn't end with realization. It begins with integration. And integration means your choices, your boundaries, your conversations, your presence, all begin to reflect a version of you that's no longer willing to abandon herself to feel safe, or to shrink himself to be liked, or to doubt their worth in order to keep peace. Gemini, this is where your power becomes practice. You've spent years learning how to adapt, to move quickly through ideas, relationships, emotions. Your flexibility has been your survival. But now, you are being called not just to move, but to root, to create a new life that no longer mirrors who you were, but who you are now. This means having different conversations, setting different limits, saying no without apology, saying yes only when your whole body agrees. This means dressing, speaking, walking, and even resting in ways that reflect your true rhythm, not the rhythm you learned to perform. It might mean walking away from a dynamic that once defined your identity. It might mean finally starting the thing you've been dreaming of for years. It might mean allowing yourself to be seen fully, messy, magical, in process. And yes, it might mean feeling alone for a little while as your new frequency begins attracting a new kind of relationship, opportunity, community. But this solitude won't be empty. It will be sacred, because you'll finally be standing in a life that belongs to you, not one curated to be palatable to others. I think of Maya, another Gemini client who recently walked through the same gate. After a massive career upheaval, a job loss she didn't see coming, she entered a season of deep fear and confusion. But instead of rushing to fix it, she followed her body's subtle instructions. She started painting again, cooking intentionally, spending time alone in silence. At first, it felt unproductive, but then clarity arrived, not all at once, but in waves. She realized she didn't want to return to corporate life. She began consulting for small, purpose-driven businesses instead. She moved into a smaller apartment by the ocean. And for the first time, she said to me, "I feel like I'm inside my life, not watching it from the outside." Gemini, that's what this moment is offering you. Not a perfect plan, but a real presence. And here's the most beautiful part. You don't need to know the full map to walk this path. You just need to trust the next step, the aligned response, the honest answer, the instinct to rest instead of push, the intuition that whispers, "Don't go back. You've come too far." At this stage, the external event no longer matters as much. What matters is that it did what it was meant to do. It broke the illusion that you needed anything outside yourself to give your life meaning. You now know how powerful you are. You now know what peace feels like when you're not performing for it. You now know what it means to be alone and not lonely, because you're finally with you. And from this place, Gemini, you begin to magnetize, not chase, not compromise, not adjust, but attract, because truth is magnetic. And when you live in alignment with your truth, life begins to bend in your favor. People who reflect your worth appear. Doors you didn't knock on open. The clarity you used to beg for simply arrives. This is not fantasy. This is resonance. And it's what you've been preparing for all along. So the invitation now is simple, but not easy. Live the shift. Don't let it become a memory. Let it become a lifestyle. Let it transform the way you love. Let it redefine your relationship with time, with money, with your voice, with your body, with your boundaries. Let it undo the parts of you that learn to survive and birth the parts of you that are here to thrive. You are no longer waiting for the universe to do something for you. You are the response the universe has been waiting for. So take the call, say the thing, close the door, open the other one, and walk forward not with certainty, but with sacred commitment to your real self. That is the final gift of the event, not just change, but the chance to live your truth without apology, without delay, and without needing permission ever again. Conclusion: you are the transformation you were waiting for. Gemini, take a breath. Look at how far you've come, not just in circumstance, but in consciousness. What began as a quiet whisper inside you, something's coming, something's not quite right, has now unfolded into a full transformation. You've moved through the anticipation, the unraveling, the revelation, and now you're standing in the afterlight. And what you're feeling in this moment isn't just relief, it's recognition. The recognition that what changed your life wasn't just the event. It was you, your willingness to listen, to release, to feel fully, to stand still when the ground shifted, to choose your own truth even when it felt terrifying. This, Gemini, is the heart of all real transformation. Not everyone will see how much you've had to let go of just to arrive here. Not everyone will understand the weight of what you've released. But you know, and the universe knows, and that's enough. Now I want to hear from you. Have you felt this shift brewing? Have you sensed the edges of a new life trying to emerge? Have the past few days or weeks revealed something about who you really are, or what you're no longer willing to accept? If so, I invite you to share your reflections in the comments, not just for yourself, but for others, because your words might be the confirmation someone else needs to walk through their own transformation with courage. And if this reading held a mirror to something deep within you, I gently invite you to like, share, or subscribe. This channel, Esoteric Wisdom, is your sacred space to return to whenever your soul is seeking clarity, validation, or simply the reminder that you are not alone on this journey. Until next time, Gemini, stay awake, stay grounded, and above all, stay true